Good morning and
There we go.
welcome
Okay, we're good.
to episode 52 of Small Business Stories. It's an absolute pleasure to have the gorgeous Heidi from Homestead Traders with me to just have a chat about all things business. And we're also going to have a bit of a chat with you too about something that is close to her heart and something that I think, is good to be thinking about at this time of the year. So, but anyway, welcome, Heidi. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. That was quite an introduction.
Um, Firstly, I guess I'd like you to paint a bit of a picture of essentially what sort of 2022 looked like for you heading into 2023.
Yeah, it's hard in a word. Um, well, it had been a hard few years.
Mm,
Just yeah, I mean, and look, not harder than anyone else's.
mhm,
With getting through the drought and trying to keep business going, and trying to
mm,
run a business in the country. Sort of in a remote area,
mm,
regional area to start with. And I'd had, really good experience with, being involved with Buy from the Bush. That had really, I think probably kept my business going many years more than it would have
mhm,
over those few years, which is, really, really appreciative of. And I, yeah, end of 22, yeah, that was 20, having track of the years. Um, I'd been invited to go to Sydney for a Buy from the Bush market at the MCA,
mhm,
down at the Rocks, which was it was amazing. And I had back to back events and markets and things. And I tripped up the stairs and broken two ribs and everything was going on at home. And it was just one of
mm,
those times, because I was rushing because I was doing
mm,
too much, trying to fit too much in and rushing to get to town, rushing to, Um, and I got the email about coming to this market, and I was in bed, trying to recover from these ribs, and my initial sorry, the call coming, ignore that. Yeah, my initial reaction was like, oh, I can't do any more than I'm doing.
mhm,
Um, and then I lay there and thought about it for a minute. Right? Yeah, just do it. Like you do everything else, just do it. Anyway, so I did it. It was absolutely amazing. It was, incredible sales, incredible experience. It was all wonderful. And but it was too much, I left home at 3 in the morning with was she then 4-year-old,
mm,
drove to Sydney, thankfully had a friend I could just hand her off to and get stuck in and set up the market and do all of that. And it was 2 days and it was all amazing, but I got picked up COVID. It just absolutely
mm,
flattened the life bit out of me. And it kind of, I'd been probably all year thinking about stopping
mhm.
with my business and feeling like, I was driving 120 k's a day to work and have childcare. And that just on its own is exhausting.
Mhm,
And I had got one child. So all I get is one child. I
mm,
had her in childcare 4 days a week so that I could work. When she was with me, I was busy, I was rushing, I was stressed, I was, big boss. Um, I wasn't being a nice mum when I was with her. And I just sort of had this yeah, because after that market, it was the Christmas lead up and had all this
mm,
Christmas sort of finish. And I just had this yeah, meltdown, big ugly cry to my husband. I'm like, I'm not here. I'm not being a good mum. I'm not being a nice mum. I'm not doing anything well. I'm, everything is on top of me so that someone can have a skirt to wear to their Christmas party.
mm.
Like what, a- what
What
am
am
I
I
doing?
doing?
Um, yeah. And he sort of said, well, what if you just stop? What if you just don't do it? And I kind of went, oh, but this and this and this. And then you have the realization that all that expectation and all those obligations, it's only me. It's just
Mm,
me putting that on myself. That's me running myself into the ground. And, lots of, beautiful customers, and I love, making the beautiful things for them. But at the end of the day, I'm not curing cancer. I'm not, it's not world peace. It doesn't matter. If I actually just stop and didn't do it, it doesn't matter. And I did. So,
Mm.
and it was that market in Sydney, which was really amazing and really successful. That kind of gave me the, I don't know, whatever you call it, it's like, oh, I can end on a high note.
Mhm.
I'm not closing this business down or finishing this because I'm failing it.
Mm.
It's going really well. I can't do it on my own. Taking it to the next level means outsourcing production, bringing in other people. I don't want to do it. That
Mm.
isn't what I wanted for this in the first place. And so I feel like I can walk away from this on a high, this, amazing, successful experience, and choose to just step away.
Mm.
And I did. And I literally
Mm.
closed the doors on finished up the orders that had to be finished, closed the studio doors and walked out,
Mm.
and done.
Wow.
And it was a massive, massive relief,
Yeah,
massive relief.
I
And
could imagine.
the,
Mm.
yeah, there was a big recovery from it. And I think I still, it was 2 years
Mhm.
this summer, 2 years right now, this weekend.
Mhm.
And, and I think I'm still recovering from it. Like it's still, because, when you run that long with your cortisol and your stress and all of that up here all the time,
Mhm.
you get your, and suddenly away from that. As soon as that pressure starts to come back in from something else, you just straight back up. So
Mm.
yeah, so it's taken a long time
Mm.
to mentally and emotionally recover from that, and letting something go that you've worked so hard on. But yeah, so it's been a big, big process and a big shift, but a really positive one. Like
That's what I was going to
exactly the
say,
right thing for me to do.
regardless of, the hard time that you've experienced, you've been able to turn it into something, super positive for yourself and for your family.
Mm,
And I think that that's
yeah.
probably the beautiful thing about it. So I guess then, talk us through then 2023. What were you sort of, doing that helped you to come up with the idea for your business, Homestead Traders, that you currently have now?
Um, I had no plan for what I was going to do after, like no plan. I needed to have no plan. I needed to just stop, um, and play with my little girl and be at home, be a mum, be a nice
Mm.
wife, and be, just take it
Just
all down
be.
a notch.
Mm.
Yeah, just be. And,
Mm.
we live in this really beautiful place, it's a beautiful garden, completely neglected. Like, just enjoy what you have. Like,
Mm.
sort of trying to build, make, do, just a beautiful little family, a
Mhm.
beautiful home. That is plenty.
Mm.
Appreciate that and enjoy that. And I guess if I want to say I had a plan, that was my plan, to just
Mhm.
actually do that. And I'm not very good at not doing anything. So anyone that knows me will listen to this and go, yeah, well, that didn't last long, did it? Which it didn't. I Yeah, in so January around here we have a 10-day run of swimming lessons, which means we into Boorowa every day, sit by the pool, kids swimming lessons, and it's social, it's mums catch up, it's all those things. And my friend Lou, who kids were there sort of at the same time, so we were just catching up every day,
Mhm.
which was great. That was really, because I don't think I'd had a conversation with anyone in the last 2 years that
Mm.
was longer than, this is it's like, oh, I'll just sit here. Should we? What should I be? Oh, I have to do. I just have to sit here and make sure she's, her head's above the water. That's it. I say, yeah, we actually had time to chat and have conversations, and So Lou, so they're sort of up in the hills over here, had been working on her business,
Mhm.
Grove Numby,
Mm.
probably 2-3 years by then. And it was like an idea that I was 100% behind from the minute she came in and
Mm.
talked about it. It was like, she's like, yeah, this is odd stone house ruin on the creek. I can just like I'm restoring it, and I just I can picture there's tents and having guests come, and I take them hiking and then come back and camp there, and it's amazing idea. And anyway, we just had been talking about it for a good couple of years and just kind of watching her progress through it or whatever. And yeah, she sort of said, "Oh, I'm thinking I need to bring someone else in. Like I probably can't hike all day with the guests and then come back and also cook them dinner and do,
Mhm.
can't kind of do both." She's like, "Do you?" It's like, "I don't know. Well, what are you doing this year?" And I'm like, I have got no idea. I don't know what I'm doing." It's like, "Oh, I don't know what it's going to look like, but can we shake on 2 days a week?" I was like, "Yeah, cool. Let's yep, I'll work for you 2 days a week." Don't know what that's going to look like. And at that stage, she was still in the final stages of the restoration of the house. And so I just went out there with her, patching, bits of patching walls and, the last sort of finishing off stuff and garden and all that kind of stuff of the stone house. And the best thing about out there is that there is no connectivity at all. There's no
Mhm.
phone, there's no what, nothing. Uh, and having spent the last several years with, my phone or the computer, like just completely, removed from the rest of the world because you're absorbed in that's where you run your business from. Um, it was the best bit of detox therapy in the world. Just these quiet days, the creek, you can hear the creek. I'm just sitting on the floor in this old house, plastering walls. Just it was, yeah, the perfect therapy. And
Mm.
so that really helped to kind of just make me be a bit still and make me stop a little bit, but whilst also doing something constructive,
Mhm.
and doing something with my hands. And then that evolved then into, well, how's it going to work with food and stuff? I'm like, well, I could be like I can cook, like um, as much as anyone can cook, I can cook. Um, and then it just kind of evolved into I became the house host. So
Mhm.
I'm the mum in the situation. Um, cook and clean up and we pack everyone's lunches and all that kind of stuff. Well, Luke, there's two mums. And and the dynamic just works really well.
Mm.
So Lou takes people hiking all day. I stay back at the house and do all the on the home front stuff, and then we have some food dinners in the evening, and it's turned into a solid job.
Mm.
um and I love it. And it's another a little local hilltops region business that is really taking off and going really well.
Mm. I love that in the stillness you've been able to find your passion again, to be able to just slow down
Yeah.
and find the things that you're really loving doing, like, your cooking and your gardening and things. So you talk to us more about your gardening because my goodness, those
Yeah.
flowers, divine.
I wish you could see what I'm looking at on the veranda at the moment, which is garden beds taken over with kikuya, everything growing through everything else. That's the house garden. I've created a bit of a I like to even call it a flower farm. It's just a growing area in the orchard that had nothing much doing in it except a couple of fig trees. Um, and so my sister has a flower farm
Mm-hmm.
in the Snowy Valley,
Oh,
and she's
nice.
been doing that for a few years. And she had gotten my husband James when we were up there a couple of years ago. She'd convinced him it was a good idea. Um, because he was sort of seeing what she was building up there and how it was all going and everything, and he's like, yeah, you could do that. um so under her guidance and all the mistakes that she's made first, has, helped me a lot with setting up over there. And yeah, look, it's not a mortgage paying enterprise. It's a labor of love.
Mhm.
And I love doing it, because I think if you enjoy being creative,
Mhm.
then, well, yes, whether it's sewing, cooking, gardening, whatever it is, painting, you're doing something, you're creating something. And so it really did, um, falling into this job with Lou at Rove and creating this growing space here is kind of satisfying all of that need for creativity and for
Mm.
doing, and the inability to sit still. Um, but the pressure isn't there. And
Yes.
that's the thing. Like, I love growing and I love doing, and there is some pressure in it, but if things grow, they grow.
Mhm.
And if they grow well, I'll sell them.
Mhm.
If they don't, it doesn't. It's not the end of the world. And so yeah, just being able to do something for the love of it,
Mm.
which I understand is such a luxury, and I understand I'm really privileged to be able to do that.
Mhm.
To be able to essentially just play,
Mm.
is, yeah, I know I'm really lucky to have that. And it's hard work. It's very hard work. It's a lot of unglamorous digging and, yeah,
All those
a
things.
lot of very unglamorous work. Yeah, it's not, skipping around in your pretty frock with your basket of roses is not how it happens. It's a lot more,
Um,
yeah, head to toe dirt and digging and sweat and sunburn and
yeah.
bitten by everything. And but yeah, no, there's so much enjoyment in growing beautiful flowers and having people enjoy them.
Mm.
Like,
Now,
that's, for me, that's, yeah.
now it seems to be very much like you are a queen at collaboration. Your collaboration with Lou at Rove, um, and I know that you have collaborated quite closely with the Marsden Street General, because that's where you sell all your produce. There's also something else that you
Yeah.
put together there in Boorowa, in collaboration with a number of people, to bring beautiful food and flowers and homemade things to the community. Tell us some more about that.
Well, last summer, we've not actually done a lot with it this summer,
Mm.
um, for various reasons. It's tricky because the growing and market season kind of coincides with our Rove season, so
Mm-hmm.
it's tricky. But last summer, we had a fantastic. There was just a handful of us, had a little growers market. Yeah, very generously, the Marsden Street Toya and Izzy at the Marsden, just let us use the side space
Mm-hmm.
next to the cafe. And yeah, it was really lovely. So we just had flowers, whatever, preserves and produce and stuff that were growing from our garden. So Michelle grows amazing garlic, which
Mm-hmm.
she has a lot of it at the moment. If anyone's after garlic and you'd like to buy garlic in bulk, Michelle has a lot of garlic. She's trying to move right now. um, so give me a call. Um, but yeah, no, it was a really, and so Sharon, this lady on the other side of Boorowa, grows amazing dahlias. Another friend Jules came a couple of times. Another girl Cindy had beautiful, like, sourdough
Mm.
and homemade sort of preserved things. And it was such a nice community little thing. And we were doing it every Saturday,
Mm.
which is a lot,
Yeah.
because we're 60 k's from town here. So
Wow.
it has fallen down a little bit this summer,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been, well, through spring, with Rove. I'm up there every second weekend, so doing a market in between those weekends is a little bit much.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying not to do that anymore. Not to do too much. So yeah, because you end up taking the enjoyment out of it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then it doesn't work anymore.
Mm.
So yeah, we haven't got back into it this year, unfortunately, but, like, people loved it. It was
Mm.
really successful. We all did really well out of it. So I think so. We will pick it up again, at some stage when we're all, because I think everybody involved there. their mums, their wives, their farmers, their,
Mhm.
got a
All the
lot
things.
else going on. So it's, yeah, all the things, and
Mm.
everyone's done a day's work by the time it's 9 o'clock kind of thing. So, yeah, but it was a really nice experience, like in the community, and to be really supported. And
Mm.
yeah, I think, like, what you're talking about with collaboration and working with other people, I think you have to,
Mm.
like, because I sort of think, well, what is what I do on its own? It's nothing. It works when you work with other people, and
Mhm.
that kind of everything lifts everything else and follows into bigger ideas. And yeah, I think just being in your own bubble and, head down, it doesn't, well, for me anyway, that doesn't
Mm.
work. Like, I
No,
work better when
if we're all bringing our talents and our thoughts and our ideas to the table, that's how, you know, our little piece then becomes bigger and bigger and
mm,
bigger. We can't do everything on
yeah,
our own.
yeah, and that's the whole community thing. And I
Mm.
think, in my experience anyway, this Borua area does that really well.
Mhm.
Like, you say, hey, do you want to give this a go? It's like, yeah, we do. Let's go. Let's do it. Might work, might not work, but let's have a go.
Mm.
And like selling my flowers in at the Marsden at the cafe is, it's just so easy.
Mm.
And, it's so kind of Toya and Izzy to be like, yeah, here, you have that space in the corner, and yeah, pop your flowers there. No, just no dramas.
Mm.
It's easy. And it's really nice just having a bit more of a purpose for growing.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, because you end up with these buckets and buckets of flowers. It's like, I can fill my house up with these, but then what? And so, like, I don't sell them to make money. I sell
Mm.
them for people to enjoy them. That's the point.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get a lot of enjoyment out of people enjoying them.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I noticed on your Instagram page there was a link in your bio to a very interesting podcast that you were a part of. Now,
Mm.
I'd love for you to talk to us some more about organ donation, because I know that this is something that's very, very close to your heart, and something that's very important for you. And I think that, in the lead up to Christmas, it's something that we really should be thinking about. And I guess, Christmas gives us the opportunity to potentially be having
Mm.
communications and conversations with our families about what our choices are
Mm.
around those sorts of things. So can you talk to us about, I guess, about a little bit about your journey and why organ donation is really important to you?
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it is really important, and it's something that, like we were talking about before, is always on my mind.
Mm.
So I've had two liver transplants over the course of my life. So first one when I was 20, and
Mhm.
then the next one in my mid 30s. So just 11, 11 years ago, this
Mm.
November was my second one. And it's something that, yeah, nuts and bolts, I'm alive because those organs were given to me. I was, born with a liver disease,
Mm.
and the only solution for it was a transplant. And so yeah, everything I have and everything I do is because I was given that in the first place. That's,
Mm.
yeah. Without that, I'm dead at 18 probably.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, so for me, it's important to talk about it. It's not a nice thing to talk about because you are talking about dying, and you are
Mm.
talking about dying not of old age, not
Mm.
quietly in your bed when you're not. You're talking about something happening that's unforeseen, because you're not
Mm.
talking about dying from an illness, because,
Mm.
often, with cancer and things like that, the organs aren't usable. The risk of is too high. So you're talking about an unexpected,
Mm.
tragic death.
Mhm.
But these that happen. That's life. It happens.
Mhm.
Um, and if out of that you can salvage something good, then, that's, to me, that's probably, yeah, like my mum passed away in 2010, and she had cancer, so we couldn't do
Mm,
anything with any of her organs. But I feel like in that situation, it would have helped me. We could have, given, because of the person who she would have gladly given.
mm,
Um, and so, yeah, there is that aspect of it, but also, it's, how to put it, but, actually saving someone's life. It's not just about, you stop them being sick or you stop them dying at that time.
mm,
What you actually are giving, that the whole life ahead. And,
mm,
you know, like, I've had a child.
mm,
She's going to go on to contribute. Um, and I do my best to, contribute what I can, where I can, community,
mm,
society, whatever. Um, and I'm part of things, and I'm part of friendships and lives and my family. And so it's not just stopping someone from dying that day.
it's the gift of
It's an
life.
exponential.
Mm,
Yeah, it's an exponential gift that,
mm,
and who knows what my child will go on to do and what her children might go on to do. And
mhm,
um, yeah, so and the other thing that I, sort of always think about in the situation is, if you're on the other end of it, if you're the one that's sick, you're the one that your child is dying, your mum's
mm,
dying, your loved one is in need. Are you going to say yes to taking that organ? If you're in need of it, are you going to accept it?
mm,
Um, so that, that's another consideration to have when you're thinking about whether or not you want to be an organ donor.
mm,
Because it's a personal decision, and some people are not okay with it, and that
mhm.
is absolutely fine, absolutely
Yeah.
fine. Because it's not an easy thing to get your head around.
Mm,
But the main thing, I think, I'm not here to say, blast people, you must be an organ donor. If you're not, you're a jerk.
yeah.
That's not my vibe. Um, but what I am here to do is to encourage people to have the conversations and to
Mhm,
talk about it, and take the awkward out of it, take the taboo out of it, just have a frank conversation,
mhm,
and really think about the impact of it.
mhm,
Um, and tell your family, and like Christmas time when everyone's together, if you get together with your family, no, it's not nice to sit at the Christmas table and talk about, well, what's going to happen when I die, if I, leave today and have a horrific car accident, you know, this is what I'd like you to do.
mm.
But those are the conversations we've got to have, because
That's
if,
life.
heaven forbid, yeah, and if heaven forbid something does happen, if those decisions are already made,
Mhm,
they've already been talked about, you know, what your sister, brother, mother, father, what they want,
mm,
then that takes it off you um in that moment of grief.
yep,
It takes that one decision out of it. You can go, okay, that box is ticked. We know what to do there. And so, yes, it's an awkward conversation now, and no, it is
mm,
not nice to talk about immortality. But it's better to do it now.
mhm.
It's better to do it now when you're well and happy and healthy and everyone's together, and you can have the awkward conversation, blah, blah, blah. It's done. Move on. Who wants champagne? Let's talk about something else.
Yeah,
Rather
yeah.
than, so I would, urge people to please, like, use this Christmas to be your opportunity for the conversation.
So if people are to have those conversations over Christmas with their families, what's your recommendation on the next best step for them to, to move ahead with their organ donation? I guess pledge, really, I guess it is.
Yeah. So you do need to register.
Mhm,
Well, it makes it a lot easier if you register. It's not, if you're not registered, then you can't be a donor. They
mhm,
will ask the questions regardless. But yeah, the easiest way to do it is to go onto, I think it's donatelife.org maybe.
mhm. Yep.
Um, you register to be an organ donor, put your details in there, and that's it. It doesn't. It takes a few minutes, and then it's in the system. So should something happen to you, and they obviously access that system, it pops up. Yep, organ donor, and you can specify. I'd like to give this. I would like to not give this. You can, because it's more than just heart, kidney, liver, that sort of thing. It's cells. You can give someone sight. Your corneas. And imagine that. Like you give someone the gift of sight. Like that's pretty wild. So yeah, no, jump on and register, and then that takes all of the questions out of it at the time.
Because I think, by making yourself or educating yourself around it, you can actually make an informed choice and feel comfortable with your choice.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the thing on the website too. There's all of the information. So all of the crazy questions that you think you might have, it's all on there. Like, what happens to my body? What does my family get back? What do they not get back? Can I have, an open casket? Can I, all those questions that you think, I don't really want to think about that. It's all there. And then you can make that decision. Yeah, knowing the decision you're making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, moving away from that, but like I said, very important subject. Share with us how people can get in touch with you, where they can get access to your products, and your beautiful food.
Okay. Well, if you want my beautiful food, you have to come and do a rove at Numby. And I will feed you all weekend. So yeah, that's the main cooking is through Rove. Flowers and produce and things, seasonally as I have them, you'll find them at Marsden Street General, in Pudman. No, in Marsden Street. I'm trying to think of what street's it in. The Marsden Street General would be in the Marsden Street. But yeah, you can find stuff in there when it's sort of seasonally available. And I do a little bit of catering, sort of just private in-home catering as well. So pop me a message on Instagram is sort of the best way to get in touch with me. And there's a lot of good stuff happening in the Borough area. So I highly recommend checking it out.
Coming for a visit, coming for a rove at Numby. That sounds like my type of.
Come for a rove at Numby. Yes, you arrive, you get driven in, and you basically get waited on hand and foot for 3 days, and you go on beautiful hikes in the beautiful hills, and you come back and you eat and you drink, and you just
sounds like my kind of
we'd love to have you.
That would be awesome.
It's so good because there's no phones, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no emails, no anything. You just
and in today's society, I think we all need that.
Well, that's been one of the biggest, comments and things from our guests. Get a lot of, sort of city and corporate and people coming through, and they just love it. It's uncomfortable at first, kind of like you feel a bit like, whoa, what, like the world's going to end. But people settle into it, and like they just love it. It's a real refresh, recharge, switch off.
Yep. And like I said, I think that's what we all need every now and then. I know I often, when my kids were younger, I would often pack them up and go and find some place. We'd often go to Wee Jasper or the back of Tumut or something like that.
Yeah.
So that they could just disconnect.
Yep. Yeah. Get out, swim, fish, hike, do all that stuff grounding stuff.
Yep. And talk to each other.
Yes. Yes. And I think all the meals are at shared tables, and we often have, so it's a group of 8 to 10 that can come. It's not always a whole group. It will sometimes be, a couple, 4, and then another couple, but it's all shared table. It's all everything kind of those sorts of things communal. And, by the end of it, the conversations are just beautiful because, you kind of, like, what else are you going to do? You're sitting with people, you talk to them, and then the shared experience of the hike, which, pushes you, it's hard, the Saturday is a big day of hiking. So I think that kind of shared experience of that as well kind of is quite bonding. And it's a really nice dynamic that you see form with people when they get their faces out of a phone.
Nice. Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, thank you again so much, Heidi, for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure
Oh,
chatting
you're
with you.
welcome. Thank you. I hope I didn't
And
ramble.
no, I'm just so glad that you've been able to highlight that, we can get so busy in life and in business. And sometimes, no, not sometimes, it's always really important to take a step back and assess where you're at and, make some changes to, head you off in the direction that you really feel is true for you and your passion and the way that you want to live life.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, like, yes, we can do anything.
Mhm.
We're women. We can do anything. But it doesn't mean we have to.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to do everything. And yes, there are some things we have to do.
Mhm.
And, you've got commitments, work-wise, you've committed to something or, all that. Yes, there are things you've got to follow through on. You've got to put the work in, you've got to get it done. But there are also things that you don't.
Mm.
And, it's, being okay with saying no, and you're not letting people down. You're actually looking after yourself. We don't do that. We say
Mm.
yes to everything and we make everything happen for everybody and all run ourselves into the ground.
And then we're
And
no good to
then,
anyone.
who's doing that? No, that's
Mm.
right. Good for yourself, no good for your children, anyone in general, because
Mm.
you just, wear yourself out. And, so just, I think finding those things, where can you say no?
Mhm.
Like, what can I drop here? Like,
Mhm.
all the balls in the air, which one can I drop? And drop something.
Mhm.
And no, I don't always get it right. And yes, I still take on too much. And so if people watching, like, you don't do that. I try as much as I can. But
Mm.
it still happens because that's just our lives. But yeah, I've just have really learnt the last couple of years the value in taking some time, stepping back, just letting
Mm.
things happen without you.
Mhm.
Because who cares?
Yep,
Like,
life
it doesn't
goes on.
matter if you're not involved.
Mm.
Like, who cares? Sitting here on my veranda by myself with a tiny dog. That's, happy to let the world carry on without me. I don't need to conquer it.
Mhm.
But it's that's a big shift in your thinking to make.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
once you do, I'm out. It's great.
Well, kudos to you, and
Never want to look at a sewing machine again.
I hope that this conversation, helps a few of us think about where we're at and what we're
Yeah.
doing. So, yeah, thank you again,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's my
and
pleasure, Sarah. Thank
I will
you.
talk to you again soon.